Well, it looks like the activist juror may have taken control of the jury. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and this is Winnie the Westie, and I really wanted to do a vlog on something other than the Rittenhouse trial. I was going to do a vlog on what happened to Project Veritas recently. They were raided by the FBI. James O'Keefe was raided by the FBI over the allegedly stolen Ashley Biden diary, and some feel that this raid, seizing of James O'Keefe's cell phone and trying to extract data from it, has nothing to do with Ashley Biden's diary, but rather some of the other undercover work James O'Keefe and Project Veritas is working on right now. But alas, the Rittenhouse trial is going on. I am literally dreaming about the Rittenhouse trial at this point in time. I mean, literally, I had a dream. I was live streaming with Rakeda and Barnes last night about the trial. We are now in day 3 of jury deliberations. The jury has had some more requests from the judge, and I read the note, the jury request to the court, and I said that note really is revealing, if not in handwriting and other aspects, at the very least in tone, and it indicates what might be going on with the jury at this point in time. Received November 17, 2021. Case number 20-CF983, question number 5. So over the last 3 days of jury deliberations, we have seen the jury ask some questions. At one point, they asked for pages 1 to 7 of the jury instructions. At a later point in that day, they asked for pages 7 to 37 of the jury instructions. So the jury, when they have questions, write their questions down on a piece of paper and submit them to the court. And this is jury question number 5. Please prepare Mr. Rosenbaum's shooting, event 1. -1, FBI aerial with all POIs marked, point of interests. -2, drone video. -3, zoomed in image still after Mr. Rittenhouse put down fire extinguisher. -4, full event 1, video in regular and slow motion. We will request when ready. Presiding juror 54, date 11/17/21, time 11:40. There are a lot of interesting things going on in this juror question number 5. It's a short note, but it contains a lot of clear indications of demeanor, phraseology, and most importantly, what evidence the jury is now focusing on. The first thing I noticed is the ask, please prepare, and it's not so much of an ask as it is a demand, and when you consider that this is going to the court to address the court by saying, please prepare this for us, it is a very demanding way of asking for something from the court that clearly indicates something of the personality of juror number 54, and we know that juror number 54 is the jury foreperson.
So I'm assuming, yeah, it says, that's the foreperson is juror number 4.
This is the same one we looked at before. This is the note. Yeah. I have it embedded in that legal insurrection post. Yeah, I took a definite, I know some others disagreed, but when I read this, it expresses a definite Karen mask tone to me.
Exactly.
Like someone speaking to a personal assistant who does tasks for them.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the way it finishes. We'll request it when ready, as if like you're gonna work on my timetable. Whenever we're ready, we'll let you know. You sit there by the door waiting, and we'll tap you when it's the right time for you to come in. It's so authoritative.
It screams that to me.
From what I understand, designating juror 54, the presiding juror, designates that juror as the foreperson. So you now know that you have, as a jury foreperson, someone who is extremely demanding and doesn't mind telling the court to please prepare something for them. Now, some of you out there might think that I am confessing through projecting, that I am making too much of the please prepare aspect of this note, but I know one thing for certain. If it were me drafting this note, I would say, could we please have X, Y, and Z? I used to work in sales like 20 years ago. I worked at a bike shop. I used to sell shoes at Sports Expert, and one thing that always drives me nuts when I go to a store is when the clerk says I have and not we have. From this note, it seems that the presiding juror is acting as though this person is in control and not as though this person is part of a team of 12 jurors. And from the please prepare, it sounds like this person is quite comfortable giving orders to other people and not necessarily showing deference to other people. That being said, I can understand that some people out there might think that I am making too much of the please prepare aspect of this note. I don't think I am. I think it clearly indicates a type of personality. I don't make much of the spelling mistake on Mr. Rosenbaum's name. Some people don't know how to spell his name, so I don't make much of that. But the next part
is exquisitely telling.
Zoomed in image still after Mr. Rosenbaum put down fire extinguisher. In addition to the presiding juror giving us a little insight into their frame of mind, the presiding juror now is also giving us an indication into their view of this trial. Put down the fire extinguisher. I looked at that and that raised a big red flag to me, because put down the fire extinguisher is the way the prosecution described what Rittenhouse did. The defense said he dropped the fire extinguisher.
I'm going to replay it a few times so you can see quite clearly that the defendant sets the fire extinguisher on the ground with his left hand, and then brings his left hand over to the gun and raises it and points. This is what we see in the video. Him putting the fire extinguisher on the ground and then raising the gun.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. He's facing the wrong direction.
So here you can clearly see that you have a presiding juror who either consciously or subconsciously is espousing the views professed by the prosecution. You have a presiding juror who, for whatever the reason, is repeating the phraseology that was put to them by the prosecution. And if I'm on the defense and I'm seeing this, I am not liking it, because even if the other 11 jurors do not share the presiding juror's point of view, what is clear is that the person who has seized control of the jury espouses the views that were put to them by the prosecution itself. So the presiding juror, either consciously or subconsciously, seems to have espoused the position that was put to them by the prosecution. They seem to be somewhat demanding by telling the court to please prepare, and we will let you know when we're ready to pick up the information.
We will request when ready.
Above and beyond seemingly being swayed by the presentation of the prosecution, above and beyond being relatively demanding with the court, it seems that this presiding juror is fixated on the most questionable piece of evidence put into evidence by the prosecution.
I'm going to replay it a few times so you can see quite clearly that the defendant sets the fire extinguisher on the ground with his left hand and then brings his left hand over to the gun and raises it and points.
This presiding juror wants to see the now infamous still frame that was enhanced from the drone footage that became the prosecution's linchpin in their provocation response to the self-defense argument of the defense. That infamous drone footage that was allegedly left with the investigators by some unnamed individual who has now apparently since been identified, that was communicated to the defense in a tardy manner, in an incomplete manner, evidence that should never have been allowed into evidence but for the passivity of the defense, and now that has become the element of evidence that the jury wants to look at now, presumably to give some credence to the provocation response to the self-defense defense
of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Now, if I had to guess what is going on behind closed doors of these jury deliberations, I would presume that the presiding juror is in fact the one fighting with the majority of the other jurors, trying to convince them that the provocation argument raised by the prosecution negates the self-defense argument raised by the defense. I would presume that the presiding juror is in fact in the minority of the position being argued, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this cannot be dragged out for a very, very long time. If the jury foreperson is in fact someone who is quite demanding, quite pushy, and quite stubborn, that person can fight long and hard with the other jury members and can in fact result in a mistrial. Because given the tone and demeanor in this note, it is very easy to imagine that this jury foreperson is not going to change their beliefs, and failing convincing the others is just going to stick with those beliefs, and this will result in a mistrial. Anyhow, that is my assessment of what I think this jury question reveals, and who knows, maybe in the time of having made this vlog, a verdict has been rendered, so I'm going to go back to the house, get myself glued to my computer screen yet again after having edited and published this video, of course. With that said, if you like my videos, you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. If you want to support the channel, all of the support links are in the pinned comment. Robert Barnes and I do weekly streams every Sunday. We do weekly streams with a guest every Wednesday called The Sidebar. If you want to find us and support us on Locals, where supporters get lots of exclusive content, you can find us at
VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com.
All of my content is also on Rumble, so you can catch it there, but more important than any of that, take care of yourselves, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well, and now you know your vlog. Peace out.